Hey, this is U.S.JAC, and I'm sorry that I've been away. Life and stress happens. But I'm back, and tomorrow is election day, and I am super excited to go out and make my voice heard because my vote counts, and so does yours. And just to let me put this out there, I do not pay attention to the polls. I don't. They're not indicative of the United States as a whole. It's only a certain percentage of participants who partake in these polls, and they just don't represent it's not a clear representation of where the election is going. And the big blow up was in 2016 when every poll said Hillary's ahead, Hillary's gonna win, and then she ended up losing that election. So I don't pay attention to polls. The only thing that I do pay attention to, and the only thing that does matter, is that every vote is accounted for. That's all that matters. That's that's all that matters. That's all that's important. So, you know, I know people are looking at the polls and saying, oh, Trump's ahead in this state and Trump's ahead in that state and then Harris is ahead in this state. And, it honestly, it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that every vote is accounted for, and hopefully that Kamala Harris wins tomorrow. And not only her, but every Democrat on the ballots in every state. In Senate, in Congress, in the House of Representatives, just turn everything blue, because they're not trying to take away your rights. Oh, because, yeah. Oh, did you forget Project 2025? Which is scary. It's more scarier than it is crazy. It's a 900-page manifesto that they don't want you to read, but just to highlight some of the stuff. They want to take away your health care. They want to implement a nationwide abortion ban. It's just everything in that manifesto wants to take away your rights, your freedoms, your liberties that honestly that we take for granted, but they want to take that away. And Trump is a part of that. And in case you forgot, the Trump presidency from 2016 to 2020 was a complete and utter disaster, with Trump giving tax cuts to billionaires. Really? How did that help? How did that help the majority of the American people? It didn't. Trump's new economic plan would increase the national debt and inflation. Just saying. So, just saying. Before I go off on a tangent, let me just get back to it. He has no regard for the climate. He doesn't. He withdrew from the Paris Agreement on his first day of office, and if he were to go, God forbid, go back into office, he would most likely withdraw from the Paris Agreement again. Really? Sorry. And also, the pandemic. It's like, how could it get any worse? And then it did. The coronavirus hit. Him and his whole administration didn't take the necessary precautions to protect the welfare and the well-being of the American people. Hundreds of thousands of people died under his administration, under his watch. The US economy tanked. Unemployment was at an all-time high. Oh, and in 2017, how could we forget? During the Charlottesville rallies, the white supremacist rally, when Trump said there were good people on both sides, really? There were protesters on one side, and then American Nazis, white supremacists on the other. And he said there were good people on both sides. And two videos that went viral during that time came out in the 1940s. Don't Be a Sucker, that came out in 1943, and the famous speech from Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator. And both videos, the sentiments in both videos were relevant then when they came out were relevant in 2017 when they went viral, and they're still relevant today, which is sad but true. And it's like in Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator, he's like saying, in one of the lines, he says, dictators free themselves and enslave the people. And in both videos, they're like saying, you know, basically the enemy is promising you the world, all these great things, all these benefits, all these false promises, and then they never deliver. And the only people who benefit are the dictators that, you know, you wanted, that you voted in, that you let bamboozle you. And it's like, we were a sucker once and it shouldn't happen again. And, you know, people who didn't vote in 2016, it's like you saw what happened during the Trump presidency. And I hope that's a reminder for you to not go back, but to move forward. And voting for Kamala Harris would not only be making history, but would be moving the United States and the American people forward. And voting blue down the line for Senate, for the House of Representatives, just turning both the entire government blue would be beneficial to the American people. And also, it's the Republican Party, their allegiance isn't to the American people, it's their allegiance is to Trump and Trump only. And prime example is immigration, migrants. They're making a mountain out of a molehill with the migrant situation. They're making them into targets, into scapegoats. They're making them into a problem. And they're like saying, they keep on complaining about the same thing, the border, the border, the border. Yet when a bipartisan bill was presented and was compliant with everything that they wanted, they didn't vote for it. Really? How are you going to complain about a problem and then when a solution is provided, you're like, no. And the only reason why they didn't vote for it was because Trump called members in Congress and said, Republicans in Congress, to not vote for it, to not vote for the bill. And the bill was not passed. It's like you're complaining about it and yet you don't want to solve it. That is so, it's a contradiction, it's redundant, and it just doesn't make any sense. And Trump, what he says and what he does and what he values is very narrow-minded. It's just ridiculous. That's all. The whole situation is it just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's like, he should be in jail. He shouldn't be in the White House. And he was granted presidential immunity. Do you know what he would do if he were, God forbid, put back in the White House? He would wreak havoc on our democracy, on people, on the citizens of the United States. It's not really worth it. And you're saying my one vote could change everything? Yeah, it can. So I am so excited to go out tomorrow and to place my vote for everyone in blue down the line. Super excited. I'm U.S.JAC and I will see you in the next video. Go out and make your voice heard and vote.